From the Christ Cathedral in Garden Grove, California, welcome to the Hour of Power with Robert Schuller, celebrating our 32nd year as the face and voice of positive Christianity to the world.
Henri Nouwen, geboren in 1932, was katholiek priester. En als professor doceerde hij aan de theologische faculteit van Harvard en Yale in de Verenigde Staten. Dit alles gaf hem veel aanzien. Ook het grote aantal boeken dat hij schreef droeg bij aan zijn bekendheid. Toch voelde Henri Nouwen zich niet op zijn plaats. Hij kwam tot het besef dat hij terug moest keren naar zijn roeping als pastoor. Henri Nouwen voelde zich geleid op een weg die in wereldse termen zeker niet voor de hand lag en ging wonen bij de minst bedeelden. In de vele boeken die hij schreef illustreert hij diep doorleefde geestelijke lessen van het leven en zijn ervaringen met God. Henri Nouwen koos voor een radicale wending in zijn carrière, nam afscheid van aanzien en succes en besloot om te gaan wonen in de arkgemeenschap Daybreak in Canada, samen met geestelijk en lichamelijk gehandicapten. Hij werd hun pastoor en tevens werd hij de vaste begeleider van Adam, met wie hij een bijzondere band kreeg. Ondanks zijn zware handicap leerde Adam hem veel over Gods liefde. Henri Nouwen overleed in Nederland op 64-jarige leeftijd toen hij op doorreis was naar Sint-Petersburg. Maar met zijn vele boeken, die nu nog steeds verschijnen en ook zijn toespraken, laat hij een waardevolle boodschap achter. De boodschap van Gods liefde voor de mensen.
I'm really grateful to be with you here this morning and to share my faith with you. And to the core of that faith belongs my conviction that you and that I and that we are the beloved daughters and sons of God. I might as well say that from the very beginning. We are the beloved sons and daughters of God. And one of the enormous spiritual tasks we have is to claim that and to live a life based on that knowledge. And that's not very easy. In fact, most of us fail constantly to claim the truth of who we are. I took this flip chart here to give you a little idea about how we often live our lives. If I draw a little line here, and I say, that's my life. My little chronology. You could also say, my little clock time. Well, I was born in 1932, and I wonder what I should put here. Maybe, 2010. It's not so bad. But that's really all I have. And now you may say, well, listen, I came a little later, so you came here. And you may say, oh, I have a few more years here. But it doesn't make very, very much difference. It's still a small little life that you have. A tiny little life that goes by very, very fast. Like that. And the question for you and for me is, who are we? Because that's the question that keeps us going. Because all during our lives we try to answer that question, who am I? And the first answer we live with is, I am what I do. And that's very real. You know, when I do good things and when I have a little success in life, I feel good about myself. But when I fail, then I start getting a little low or depressed. And when I'm getting older, I might say I cannot do much, but look at the trophies. Look, I did a lot of good things in my life, or look at my books, or look at my music I wrote, or look at my children I educated, or look, I did something good. Or we might say, I am what other people say about me. What others say. You know, that's very, very powerful what people say about you. In fact, that sometimes is most important. If people speak well about you, you can walk around quite freely. But when somebody starts talking behind your back, or when somebody starts saying negative things about you, you suddenly might feel very, very sad. You know, and I remember speaking to thousands of people, and people say, that was wonderful what you said. But there was one man who said up, hey, he says, I thought it was a lot of nonsense. And that's the only man I remembered. It seems as if when somebody talks against me or against you, that can cut deep into your heart. And when somebody in the morning said something about you that's really hurtful, somebody calls you stupid or so, it can stay with you the whole day and ruin your mood. And you might also say, I am what I have. I am what I have. I'm a Dutch person. I have kind parents. I have a good education. I have a good health. I have a lot of things. But as soon as I'm losing any of it, if a family member dies, or if my health goes, or if I lose the property I might have, then I can slip into inner darkness. And what I want you to hear for a moment, that quite often a lot of your and my energy goes into, I am what I do, I am what people say about me, I am what I have. And you know, when that's the case, our life quickly becomes like this. Because when people speak well about me, and when I have a lot of things, and when I do good things, I'm quite up. I'm excited. But when I start losing, when suddenly I find out that I cannot do anything anymore, when suddenly I find out that people talk against me, when finally I discover that I lose my friends, I might slip into depression and be very low. And before you realize it, you and I are on a zigzag. Because when we are up, when these things are all right, but we are down when we start losing out. And most of our work, mental work then, is to just stay above the line. And we call that surviving. We want to survive. We want to hold on to our good name, hold on to some good product, hold on to our property. But we know somewhere that on the end there is a word that says you're going to die after all. And you know, when you live this kind of life with all these ups and downs, the end is death. And when you are dead, you're dead. Nobody talks about you anymore. You don't have anything anymore. You can't do anything anymore. You lose it all. And that little life of you and of mine ends up into nothing. And what I want to say to you today is that this whole thing is wrong. That is not who you are, and that is not who I am. That's what the demon said to Jesus when he went to the desert. He says, turn these stones into bread and show you can do something. Jump from the temple and let people catch you so they speak well about you. Kneel in front of me and then I will give you a lot of possessions. Then you are loved because you do something, people speak well about you, and you have something, and everybody's going to love you. And Jesus says, that's a lie. That's the greatest lie that makes you and me enter into relationships of violence and destruction. Because I know who I am. I know who I am. Because before the Spirit sent me to be tempted, the Spirit came upon me and says, you are the beloved child. You are my beloved son. On you my favor rests. That's who you are. That's who I am. And Jesus heard that voice. You are my beloved. On you my favor rests. And it was that voice that he clung to as he lived his life. And people praised him, and people rejected him, and people said Hosanna, and people crucified him. But Jesus held on to the truth. Whatever happens, I am the beloved of God. And that is who I am. And that allows me to live in a world that keeps rejecting me, or praising me, or laughing at me, or spitting on me. I am the beloved. Not because people say I'm great, but because I am the beloved even before I was born. And dear friends, if there's anything I want you to hear this morning, is that what is said of Jesus is said of you. You have to hear that you are the beloved daughter and son of God. And to hear it, not here, but right here. To hear it so that your whole life can be turned around. And listen to the scriptures. I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have written your name in the palm of my hand from all eternity. I have molded you in the depths of the earth and knitted you together in your mother's womb. I love you. I embrace you. You are mine and I'm yours. And you belong to me. You have to hear that. Because if you can hear that voice that speaks to you from all eternity to all eternity, your life will become more and more the life of the beloved. Because that's who you are. And then you start discovering that all that you do here is nurtured from the knowledge that you are the beloved. That's who you are. And when you start believing in this, that circle of knowledge will become bigger and bigger and bigger until it cuts right into your daily life. You will still have rejections, and you will still have praise, and you will still have losses, but you live no longer as a person searching for his or her identity, but you will live it as the beloved. You will love your pain, and you will live your anguish, and you will live your successes, and you will live your failures as the one who knows who you are. And I want to give you a little word here. The voice that calls you the beloved is the voice of the first love. First love. John writes, love one another because God has loved you first. And the great struggle, and it's not easy, I'm not talking about something easy, is to claim that first love. You were loved before your father and your mother and your brother and your sister and your teachers loved you. The people who love us not always love us well. The people who care for us also wound us. And you might know from your own experience that those who often are closest to you, like your father, your mother, your children, your brother, your teachers, your churches, are also the one who might hurt you most. And how to live that? How to live the truth that in this world, love and wounds are never separated. We can only live it when we always reclaim that first love. So that we can forgive those who love us poorly, but also so that we can recognize in the love that we do receive a hint or a glimpse of that first love that is real. Could you hold on to that? I mean, every time you have a temptation to become bitter, to become jealous, to lash out, to feel rejected, can you go back and say, no, I am the beloved daughter of God. And even though I am rejected, that rejection should become for me a way to reclaim the truth. It should be like a pruning that helps me to claim more fully and deeply the truth of my belovedness. And if I can hold on to that and live in the world, then I can be free to love other people without expecting them to give me all that my heart desires. Because God has created you and me with a heart that only God's love can satisfy. And every other love will be partial, will be real but limited, will be painful. And if we are willing to let the pain not make us bitter, but prune us, to give us a deeper sense of our belovedness, then we can be free as Jesus and walk on this world and proclaim God's first love wherever we go.
Give me the faith, give me the faith, give me the faith, give me the faith. When I don't understand, give me the faith. When I can't feel your spirit, give me the faith. When I can't see your plan, give me the faith. When I can't hear you speak to me, give me the faith. When I don't understand, why is it Lord? Why is it Lord? Why is it Lord? Why is it Lord? Why is it Lord when I can't seem to stop my world from tumbling down? I'm trusting you, Lord. I'm trusting you, Lord. I'm trusting you, Lord. Please send me, Lord. I'm trusting you, Lord, to keep me yearning, to always trust you. That you help me when I doubt you. That you're hearing my prayer. Lord, I believe. 'Cause I tried it without you. Lord, I believe in how you show me you care. How you show me you care. So give me the faith. When I can't feel your spirit. Give me the faith. When I can't see your plan. Give me the faith. When I can't hear you speak to me. Give me the faith. Give me the faith. Oh, give me the faith. Give me the faith. Oh, give me the faith. Give me the faith. Give me the faith. Oh, give me the faith. When I don't understand, give me the faith.
I'm really grateful that I am invited by you all to be here. And I would like to very simply say that you and I are the beloved daughters and sons of God. And that's very hard to claim, because very quickly we think that we are what we do, that we are what other people say about us, that we are what we have. But the real truth that Jesus announced us is that we are like Jesus himself, the beloved child of God. And it's very, very important that in the midst of this world that keeps telling us, no, 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 you are what you do, you are what people say about you, you are what you have, that we listen to that voice that keeps telling us, you are my beloved. On you my favor rests. And this morning I would like to talk a little bit about how we can become more fully the beloved, if that's true. Jesus took bread and he blessed it. And he broke it. And he gave it. And you know, Jesus did exactly the same at the Last Supper. He took bread, he blessed it, he broke it, and he gave it. And when Jesus entered the house of those two disciples in Emmaus, he took bread, he blessed it, he broke it, and he gave it, and they recognized him. And that is what we continue to do through history. We take bread, we bless it, we break it, and we give it. And what I would like you to hear today is that these 4 words summarize the life of Jesus. Jesus is the one who is taken by God, who is blessed by God, who is broken on the cross and given to the world. And these same 4 words are the words that summarizes your life as the beloved. Like they summarizes Jesus' life as the beloved. Because your spiritual life, your life as the beloved daughters and sons of God is a life that is taken, that is blessed, that is broken and given. And I would like very much you from today on remember just these 4 words. If you could just go home and say, I am taken. I am blessed. I am broken. And I am given. These 4 words are the words I want to give you this morning so that you can claim what it means that you are the beloved son and daughter of God. Because if you can live your life as the taken, the blessed, the broken, the given, the world will recognize Jesus in you. In the breaking of the bread, in the breaking of your life. You are taken. You know, do you believe that God has taken you? Maybe we have a little better word for that. God has chosen you. Think about that for a moment. That you are chosen by God. That means God has seen you from all eternity as precious in his eyes, as unique. There is no other than you that is like you. There is no other person that is exactly like you. You are unique. And you have a unique role to play in God's story. And most people don't believe that at all. Most people don't even think they are welcome in the world. But God is saying to you and to me, I've seen you from all eternity in your uniqueness. You are my chosen one. You're special in my eyes. And what I hope that you will realize is, and this is a surprise, and if you believe that you're chosen, it doesn't mean that others are not chosen. See, in our world, when they say you're chosen, you're the best in your class, too bad for the rest. If you say you're chosen for an award, and the other didn't get the award. If you're chosen to be the president of a company or a class, then the others didn't make it. But in God's way, that's not at all true. In fact, if you believe that you are chosen, God gives you eyes to see the chosenness of others. You'll suddenly discover that your chosenness, your uniqueness, opens up in your heart a place where you can suddenly realize, hey brother, hey sister, you too are unique in God's eyes, and that didn't take anything away from my uniqueness. That's the great news. Very hard to claim in a world of statistics, and a world in which you often think that you're just a number. But hold on to it, because it's the first sign of your belovedness. And the second is you're blessed. You know the word benediction? You know blessing, benediction? That word comes from bene, which means good things, of good, and dictions means saying things. Benediction means saying good things. You're blessed, that means God is saying good things to you. In my community, with mentally handicapped people, there was a wonderful woman called Janet. And I came to one of our homes, and I saw Janet coming up, and she says, "Henry, can you give me a blessing?" You know, and as a good priest, I put my hand on it and say, "In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit." He says, "Henry, it doesn't work." I said, "Doesn't work?" "Yeah, I give you a blessing." He said, "Doesn't work." And I was confused. I said, "What do you want?" He says, "I want a blessing." Well, after the service, and there were a lot of people sitting on the floor, and I said, "Janet wants a blessing." And she said, "Yes, I want a blessing." And she walked right up and put her head right against my chest, and I had this alp on, and I put it around her, and she huddled herself right in me, and I perked up her chin a little bit, and I said, "Janet, you're a beautiful woman. You're so beautiful. We love you so much. And I know you're a little low today. You need to hear it again, that you are the beloved of God and that we love you." She looked up and says, "Yes, Henry, that's true." As he walked back. And right after that, everybody else said, "Hey, I want a blessing too." And people came all up, and I was blessing people and holding them and telling how good they were. And finally, one of those big assistants, you know, Notre Dame football player who was staying with us to help out, big, strong guy, his neck going right here. And he said, "What about me?" I said, "Come up." And I put my hand on his shoulder, and I said, "John, God loves you." And big tears came out of his eyes. We are called to claim the blessing and to bless people wherever we go. That's our Christian call, to say good things of people. Not to give them little compliments, but to say good things about their being human, about their belovedness. But we are also broken. And I have a deep feeling that our brokenness in this world has a lot to do with relationships. Maybe you and I are not poor physically, economically, but we might be poor because there is a brokenness in our hearts. And I guess each one of you will know what that means. Husband and wife won't be able to speak well to each other. Children and parents feel brokenness in their relationship. Friends that you thought were there for you suddenly cannot respond to your needs. And you can feel an enormous inner anguish and an enormous inner pain. If I ask myself, what is my biggest suffering? It's always somewhere to do with brokenness in the relationships. We all have broken hearts. Somewhere people did not love us the way we want to be loved. Somewhere we feel rejected, abandoned, misunderstood, marginalized. And what do you do with that? I want to give you two words. First of all, you have to have the courage to embrace your brokenness and not deny it. To befriend your brokenness. To say, yes, I am in pain, and I'm not doing as if I'm not. I'm hurting. I'm crying out. I'm in pain. But it is my brokenness. And just as I am unique, I claim my unique pain. We have to have the courage to embrace our brokenness and to claim it as our pain. That's what Jesus means by taking up your cross. He doesn't say make a cross for anybody else. He doesn't say create a cross for yourself. He says simply embrace your cross and say it's mine. You will never be a happy, joyful person when you always deny your brokenness. Oh, it's not so bad, we'll get over it. Just let's look at the other side. No. First of all, look it in the face and don't be afraid. And secondly, I would like to say to you, dare to put the brokenness under the blessing. Put your brokenness under the blessing that says that you're good. And many of us live it under the curse. Many of us say, well, I wasn't good anyhow, and now look what happened. I lost my friend. Look what happened. He betrayed me. Look what happened. It all proves I'm no good. But Jesus calls us to take our brokenness and put it under the blessing. Under the hands who says, you are my beloved daughter. You are my beloved son. On you my favor rests. And when you put it under the blessing, you will be able to say one day the same words that Jesus said. Didn't you know that we have to suffer and so enter into our glory? When you put your brokenness under the blessing, then your brokenness can be a pruning in which you are purified and made more and more golden, holy for God. That's not easy, but it's the call. And finally, you and I are given. You and I are taken, blessed, broken, to be given to the world. You're not there for yourself. I'm not there for myself. I'm there for you. You are there for me. We are there for each other. But we are there for the generations to come. Your little life does not end on the day you die. Your little life is a gift for your family, for your friends, but far beyond that for the people who you never even will see and know about. Jesus doesn't ask you to be successful, but he says, be fruitful. And how can you be fruitful without dying? If the grain doesn't die, it will not bring any fruits. And listen to Jesus. He says, it's good for you that I go. Because when I go, I will send you my spirit, my breath, my love, my intimacy. And that will lead you to the full truth. That is to the full betrothal, to the full betrothal, to the full espousal, to the full communion. And if you believe that your life is a life in which you are called to give more and more and more of yourself, not just a little bit, but all of you, that you can become food and drink for others, when you are willing to pour yourself out for others, you can trust that you will bear immense fruit, far beyond your little life, your little chronology, your little clock time. And dear brothers and sisters, I'm so glad that I can say that to you, because I want you to know that just as Jesus' death became fruitful for generations and generations to come, anyone who lives like Jesus did, as the beloved son or daughter of God, can be sure that his or her life will bear fruits for ages to come. that indeed all generations will call you blessed. So be sure to realize that every little bit of giving you do is already part of your becoming fruitful as the beloved. So you and my life are taken, chosen, blessed, broken, and given. And please, if you go to bed that evening, look over your day and say, where was I chosen again? Where was I blessed again? Where was I broken again? And where was I given? Because every time you recognize that, you recognize the presence of God in your heart, the presence of His Spirit in the center of your being, and you will know that you are the beloved daughter and son of God, and that you can live a free life, free to love. Great joy for me to be with you this morning, to be invited to speak about that great mystery that you and I are the beloved sons and daughters of God. When Jesus was baptized, there was this voice that spoke to him. And that voice that said, "You are my beloved. On you my favor rests." And that is the voice that you and I have to hear too. Because Jesus came to let you know that you are as beloved as he is. And therefore the great challenge is to listen to that voice that calls you who you truly are, that calls you the beloved. And in this service, I would very much like you to be good listeners, to listen to the voice that calls you the beloved. That's what prayer is all about. It might be interesting for you to know this is just a play with words, but the word listening in Latin is audire. That's what that word means. And if you listen with great attention, it's called obaudire. That's where the word obedience comes from. An obedient person is someone who can listen to the voice who calls him the beloved. And if you're deaf, you know the Latin word for deaf is surdus. And if you're absolutely deaf, you're absurdus. That's where the word absurd comes from. Now the question is, can you move from a life of absurdity to a life of obedience? That is, from a life in which you can hear the voice, but you cannot hear the voice, and you get all distracted, and you lose touch with who you are. You start thinking, I am what I do, I am what other people say about me, I am what I have. All these false voices that makes your life absurd. And can you gradually start listening to that gentle, soft, whispering voice that says, Mary, John, Francis, Peter, you are my favorite daughter. You are my favorite son. Believe it and live from that conviction, and your life will be different. It's a story about the mountain. It's about a mountain. And Jesus went up to the mountain and spent the whole night in communion with God. In communion with God. Listening to the voice who calls him the beloved. And early in the morning he came down. And when he came down, he called his disciples and formed community. 12 apostles. He called them each by name. Peter and John and James and Andrew. You are my friends with whom I, the beloved, are forming community. And in the afternoon, he went off with his community on the plains and spoke the words of healing, touched people, and cared for those who are poor. It's called ministry. Communion, community, and ministry are the three disciplines to discover the voice that calls you the beloved. I tell you honestly, my life is usually very different. I want to do it by my own ministry. If it doesn't work, I call some people to help me out. And if that doesn't work, I start to pray. But Jesus starts to spend the night with God. And what are disciplines? Discipline is the human effort to create some open space where you can hear the voice speaking to you. And the world in which we live wants to fill up every place, want you to be occupied, and if you're not occupied, you are preoccupied. That is occupied before you're even there. That's what we call worrying. The great philosopher Spinoza said there is a horror vacui, a fear for emptiness in our life. We want to fill up everything. We want always to have something to do, something to go to, something to be busy with. Discipline is to keep some space open, some space empty, so that God can say, Mary, John, don't you know I love you? Why don't you just relax? I can touch you and hug you and be with you. But the first discipline is communion. You know, do you ever spend 10 minutes doing nothing? That's hard. You're not listening to the radio, not watching television, not reading the paper, it's very hard to sit down on your chair and do nothing. You know, before you know, you feel that your head is like a banana tree full of monkeys running around. I should do this, I should do that, I have to write a letter, I have to go here. I forgot that, I'm still angry at this person, I should have done that, I didn't do that. And before you know, your whole mind is... So you get busy again, so not to have to deal with all these inner monkeys. Jesus says, stay there. Because underneath all these wild voices, there is a gentle, soft voice that says, you are my beloved. Listen to that voice. Please try to spend a little of your time every day to listen to the one who so much wants your attention, so you will hear who you truly are. And you can do that just by sitting on your chair or outside, and maybe you can take the gospel of the day and read it and then look at it like a picture and be there so that it can enter into your heart. And as you drive to your work and you're in your busy office and you're working in the store or do whatever, that voice is there with you. You are the beloved. But you need to spend some time with God alone so he can tell you who you are. And the second discipline is community. Now, community is what is essential for us to listen to the voice of God. We have to listen together. But you can only create community when you feel that you are truly the beloved. When you truly feel that you are loved, then you can start forming community. Let me tell you what most communities look like, whether it's marriage or friendship or small little communities. It's like this. I'm lonely. I'm empty. I need someone to love me. I'm screaming for affection. And oh, there is someone else who also is lonely, who is also asking for affection. And maybe we should get together. And maybe we should connect. And maybe we should live together. And maybe we should be all for each other. And then suddenly you get locked into each other out of loneliness. And after a while you said, but I'm still lonely. And you're not the one I hoped you to be. Because some things you don't understand. Maybe we should take a little distance. Maybe we should try again. Maybe a little distance and try again. That's what we call friction. And a lot of our relationships, when they are born out of our immense need for the solution of our inner anguish, become very possessive. And then while our love becomes violent. Our kissing becomes biting. Our hearing becomes overhearing. Our looking tenderly becomes looking suspiciously. And before we know it, what we wanted to be an expression of love becomes an expression of violence and possessiveness. But when you truly believe that you are in communion, when you truly believe that there is a voice that calls you the beloved, you're not that, you're there. Alone, but not lonely. And there's another person there, alone, but not lonely. And two people can come together, each knowing about the voice of love, and forming home together. And the love that has spoken in me allows me to recognize the voice that has spoken in you. And we can love each other. And we can be very, very, very close. But we can also have some open space at times and leave each other some room and create a place where new life can be born, where new friendship can grow, where guests can be welcomed, where the child can be born. That is community. That is the discipline of community, that the voice of love that we have heard can be heard sounding in the other and calls us together to build home, to build family, to build community, to build a place of love. And I don't want to romanticize that for you. I tell you, it's not, I live in a community. It's 120 people. It's not easy. Someone once said to me, community is the place where the person you least want to live with always lives. And that's true. Jesus called the community of apostles together, and then suddenly there is this, and one will betray him. Community is not romanticism. But you can only live in community if in a deep way your heart is rooted in God, and then you can live even with people who are hard on you. And they might become people who purify your heart and deepen your love. And if you dare to listen to the voice of love in community, then you will discover very quickly that you're sent out to minister. Community is not like a safe little home where you can just hide out for the world. Jesus calls the community together to be sent out into the world and to proclaim good news. He went to the poor, to the sick, to the dying, to the little ones. Oh, dear friends, I cannot tell you enough how the final voice that calls you the beloved comes from those you care for. That's a great mystery I want to tell you this morning. I'm living in a little community with people who are very, very, very handicapped. Some cannot walk, some cannot talk, some can do nothing. We have a house, we have 15 houses, but in one of them there are 4 very handicapped adolescents. And we need at least 10 people to help them live. And they need us. They need us to live. Well, they cannot do anything themselves. And still, I tell you that these poor people are the life of our community. And these people who cannot talk, who cannot speak, who need to be fed, who need to be moved from one place to the other in wheelchairs and all that, these people are in fact the ones who give us life. They are the ones who God has chosen to speak his word of love to us. You remember in the Beatitudes, you remember what it says? Blessed are the poor. Blessed are the mourning. It does not say, blessed are those who care for the poor. It doesn't say, blessed are those who console the mourning. No, no. The blessing is located in the poor. In these people that we want to help, we will find that they carry the blessing in their heart for us to live. I tell you, I wouldn't even be standing here today and saying these things with so much conviction if I had not all these wonderful people who are so broken to send me to you and say, Henry, go to Garden Grove and speak. We love you. And come home and tell us how it was. And some cannot hear it, but can feel it. I want to be touched when I come home. And they give me life. They give me a sense of God's presence. And I want to tell you that they who I go to minister to are the one who carry in themselves the blessing. And the blessing is, you are my beloved. On you my favor rests. I hear that blessing coming to me through those who are weak, through those who are poor. And you know who the poor are. You know it. They might be wealthy, but they might be still poor. And I want you to realize that you and I are called not just to communion and community, but then to go out and minister. And to trust that those you minister to will lead you closer and closer and closer to the heart of love, to the heart of God. That is the great joy that I want to announce to you. And for you to trust. Because once you are in deep communion with the poor, you will be able to discover your own poverty, your own weakness, your own brokenness, and not be afraid of it. You will discover, yes, I am poor too. The handicapped people I'm living with make me so aware of my own limitations. But the voice is saying, don't be afraid, because I love you right there where you are poor too. And so we become, in a way, a fellowship of the weak, where the power of God's grace can manifest itself. So, keep some space for God's voice. Some space by praying alone. Some space by forming community without possessiveness. Space by going out and going to those people in your own family, on your friends in your own city who need you. They don't just need you because they are needy, but also they need you to give to you their blessing. And trust, dear friends, trust that God really wants you to claim your truth, that you are the beloved sons and daughters of God. Let us pray. Oh God, you sent Jesus among us to become so weak and so vulnerable so that we could touch him, look at him, care for him. Make him grow up from a baby to a boy, from a boy to a man, from a man to a preacher. He became dependent on us so that he could give to us the blessing. Help us today to welcome Jesus in our life, the Jesus who we meet in our own family, among our friends, in our cities, and truly believe that as we reach out, we will discover that Jesus is still among us, still smiles at us, and still gives us his blessing. And help us to recognize through these blessings that we have nothing to be afraid of, that we have nothing to feel anxious about. Even though we are anxious, and even though we are afraid, help us to recognize more fully that we are the beloved, that we belong to you, that you belong to us, and that you want us to say very simply, we know you love us, I love you too. And in that mutuality of love, hold us safe in our life and give us that freedom of the children of God. Bless us today and each one in this congregation, and each one who listens to the word of God. And let something really new happen among us that comes from your life-giving spirit. Thus we pray. Amen.